Alright guys, here's some explanation of the ones that I noticed you missed on Socrative. So if you look at number 19, I think some of you for 19 and 20 were just started off using the wrong formula. So we're trying to find the length of the arc, MN. So since it's two letters, we know that's the minor arc. But we're trying to find the length, not the area. So you need to be careful when it says length that you're using the correct formula. The formula for length is the measure of the arc over 360. They start the same, but then because we're just worried about the outside, you have to put the circumference here. You have to do 2 pi r. So this should be 100 over 360 times 2 times pi times the radius is 9. And then you're just going to type that in your calculator to get the answer. And you should get 5 pi centimeters. Okay? Number 20, I need you to be careful with. They are looking for arc RQP, which if we trace that in order, that is the major arc. On the quiz, it's going to say find the darkened arc, and this section will be darkened. So you need to make sure you're using the measure of that section, not the 60. So to find that section, we got to do 360 minus 60, which is 300. And then we're going to use the formula for length. 300 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times the radius is 12. And again, you'll type all of that in except for the pi. And that's how you get the answer of 20 pi. Okay, let's look on the next page. Alright, the first one we needed to go over on this page was 25. We're trying to find just that shaded section up there, which we don't have a name for, so we're going to have to find the two things that are in that section. We can find the whole sector. I can find the area of the sector by doing 90 degrees. That's what the arc would be because of the right angle, 90 degrees over 360. And we're finding area right now, so make sure you put the area formula here. Pi times 7 squared. And then we'll put that in our calculator. And you get 12.25 pi. And then the other shape that we see in the picture is this triangle, as we can find the area of the triangle as well. To find the area of the triangle, we're going to have to do 1/2 base times height. Because it's a right triangle, it's not an equilateral triangle, so we cannot use that formula. It's going to be 1/2 of 7 times 7, which ends up being 24.5. And then because the triangle was not shaded, we need to subtract that off so we can find what the shaded part was. So you're going to do 12.25 pi minus 24.5 in your calculator. Please make sure you do put the pi in an instance like this because the directions ask you to round to the nearest tenth. And it comes out in your calculator as 13.98, which means it's going to bump up to 14.0 meters squared. Okay? 26 is the same kind of idea. You want to look and see what shapes you see in the picture that you could find the area of, and then we have to decide what operation to do with those. So I'm going to start with the square. Area formula for a square is just side squared, and the side is 14, so you do 14 squared, you get 196. And then the other shape you should see in the picture is this circle. The circle formula, fuzzy wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. But please make sure you're using the radius. The 14 would be measuring all the way across the circle, so the radius is really only 7. So it's pi times 7 squared, which is 49 pi. And then again, because the circle is not shaded, we want to subtract that away. So it's going to be 196 minus 49 pi. And you get 42.1 centimeters squared. Okay. 27, what I'm looking for you to be able to do for the quiz tomorrow is you need to be able to figure out if they're asking you for area or circumference based on what part of the picture you're trying to find. So we're looking right now at this garden. It's a circular garden, but it's cut off by a corner. And we want to know how much fence we would need to use to put a fence around it. So what I need you to look at for part A is we're trying to put a fence here. That is all on the outside. So when we're looking at the distance around the outside of a circle, hopefully remember that that is called the circumference. So we want to use the circumference formula here because we're on the outside. But the other thing you have to be careful about is this is not a whole circle. This is 90 degrees shy of being a whole circle. We cut that corner off, so you got to do 360 minus 90, and you get 270. I saw a couple people that just went to 3/4 right away. If you notice it's 3/4 of a circle and you want to use that instead of the bigger fraction, that's fine. But it has to be the circumference formula here. So it has to be 2 times pi times the radius is 8. And then because it's a real world problem, I want you to type that in the calculator, the pi. Put the pi in the calculator to get a decimal answer. And if you put that all in, you should get 37.7 feet is how much fence we would need. Then the next one asks if you wanted to put fertilizer down. So imagine if I put fertilizer down, that's going to cover the whole garden. So that's all the space inside. That's one reason I know that this is area, because we're looking for the space inside. The other reason, if you keep reading, it says how many square feet do you need. The fact that you're looking for square feet also tells you that you're doing area, because area is when we square the units. So this is going to start the same because we're still looking for only that fraction of the circle, but then it's going to be the area formula. It's going to be pi times 8 squared. And again, just type that in your calculator with the pi to get the decimal answer that I had. You get 150.8 feet squared. Okay? And then these last couple problems some people struggled with. We didn't directly do these in the notes, but it relates back to earlier this chapter when we were doing the stuff with area of a trapezoid, an area of a triangle, an area of a kite, and I would give you the area and ask you to find a missing piece. So the key to these last 3 problems is start with the formula for the thing that they gave you a number for. So if you look at number 28, they're giving us the circumference formula. So I'm going to start with that formula. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference equals 2 pi r. And then this 16 pi is the circumference. So that gets plugged in on the C side. And then it's just solving an equation from here. I can cancel out the pi's on both sides, and I get 16 equals 2r. And then I'm going to divide by 2, and that tells me that r is 8. Now I do need to make sure I go and I finish the problem. The problem is asking me to find the area of the circle. Now that I know the radius is 8, that should be pretty easy to find. Area is pi r squared, so it's going to be pi 8 squared. And you're going to get 64 pi centimeters squared. And you can leave for this one, because I didn't tell you, you could leave it in pi form, or I'll take the decimal answer. Either would be fine. So then if we look at number 29, they are starting us off with the area. So that's the formula you're going to start with. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. And then we're going to take that 196 pi and plug it in as the area. And then you're just going to keep solving this. So the pi's would cancel. We get r squared equals 196. And then we've got to get rid of the squared. Remember, to get rid of the squared, you have to take the square root on your calculator. And that would tell you that r is 14. And then they want us to find the circumference. So the circumference is going to be 2 times pi times the radius is 14. And that's how I get 28 pi meters. Alright, the last one, they are also starting us with area, so that's the formula we're going to start with. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, area equals pi r squared. And we're going to plug the 6.25 pi in for area. And again, the pi's will cancel out. That makes it a whole lot easier if you just let those drop out. Then we have to take the square root, which it's a decimal, but if you use your calculator is very smart. It's going to tell you that that is 2.5. But this answer is different. They want us to find the diameter, so you need to think about if the radius is 2.5, how do we find the whole diameter? All you have to do there is multiply that by 2. So the diameter was 5 inches. Okay? So I hope this video helps with the ones that you might be struggling with, and that it helps you to make sure you're prepared for tomorrow's quiz. We will talk soon. Have a great rest of your Sunday.